All right, horror hounds, and welcome to an episode of This Just In. Today we're going to be going over Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the sequel to his remake. With this one, the first movie was so successful that they let him have open range on whatever Rob Zombie wanted to do for a sequel. And he makes the Halloween movie that he wanted to make. Might not be the one that you wanted him to make, though. I know this one is hated among a lot of people, and even when I was younger, when I watched it, I was not a fan of this. But how does it do on a new set of eyes? Let's find out. It's going into the ends. The first one is Michael Myers. I keep saying this. It seems like every single movie he gets more and more brutal. But in this one, he is brutal. This might be more brutal than he was in the last one. This is probably the most brutal he is. This movie is extremely bloody and gory. The kills are fantastic. That's another in of mine on this one. The kills all look good and they are grotesque. And we get a wide variety of ways he kills too, instead of some of the same olds. But he does have some of the original type same olds, just so we can get that good Halloween feel when we're watching this movie. Another in for me is the cinematography. I always like the way Rob Zombie shoots his films. And, yet again, he kicks ass in this one. He has great sets, great lighting, the camera angles, it doesn't matter. Whatever he does, he seems to always know how to film it. Now, we can just get him to stop writing it. Not all of his movies. I like some of them. But he's got quite a few fun dialogue movies. Another in for me in this movie is Brad Dourif as the sheriff. We get a lot more time with him in this one because Laurie is now living with him and Annie. So we also get a lot more Annie in this movie. Brad Dourif's portrayal in this one, he does a great job with what he has. He has quite a bit of time. And his scene where his daughter dies and he finds her, you couldn't ask for better acting in a scene. And then when he goes and he finds Michael and he sees Dr. Loomis and his anger and his hatred and everything he has for them, in them moments, just spot on. He does more than just voice Chucky. The guy can act. Too bad he didn't have more roles in more films. Sad. He's a really good actor. Alright, and then the last in this movie is the ending. The ending's fun. It's brutal. Very, very brutal. We get to see Michael kill Dr. Loomis, which is very satisfying in this film. But then we get to see Laurie get the upper hand, and she winds up stabbing him multiple times with a knife. She climbs out of that shed wearing his mask. Then when she takes it off, she's got this weird look on her face. Then we see her in an insane asylum with just a big old smile on her face, because that bitch has gone nutty from all the shit she's been through. Alright, so now we're going to move on to my mixed stuff. I'm mixed on the opening of this movie. We had a great opening showing how Michael survived from the corners. We do get some Rob Zombie dialogue in there. Both of the corners, the way they talk. And one guy, after he gets in an accident, only knows one word in the whole alphabet. That's fuck, and he says it about 50 fucking times. But we get a cool kill in there and everything else. And then we go into another scene where it shows him at the hospital. It's this chase scene, and he's killing people, and it's really brutal. And right before he kills Laurie, she wakes up because it's a nightmare. I think it all is shot well. I think it looks great. Kicking off with a fake nightmare scene right in the beginning. I get it, but it's always thrown me off just because it just felt like it was a little bit phony in this situation. After the first movie, it was so just in your face brutal. To have a dream sequence was kind of weird. Didn't fit for me in there. Alright, and then another thing I mixed on in this movie is Laurie herself. Now, I think the way Rob Zombie wrote her character, arc-wise, was good. how she looks and acts, and I don't like the way the actor portrays her in this one. She's not as bad as she was in the first one, but all of her PTSD and everything from what had happened, and you kind of just see her descent into more and more madness till the very end. I like the arc. I just don't really like the actress's portrayal. That's why it falls into mixed for me. Now we're going to move on to the things I'm out on in this movie. I've got three main things. For one, Dr. Loomis. This is a fight between this and part 5 on which is a worse version of Dr. Loomis. In this one, Dr. Loomis is selling a book. He's selling a book. He's going to be profiting off the money, and he thinks he's king shit. So going to be famous. He's got book tours, and he's on TV. He's even doing an interview where he's got Weird Al Yankovic sitting next to him. And he's just a giant asshole to every single person that he comes into contact with. Even so much so that he reveals in his book that Lori is Michael's sister. And Lori didn't know that, which I should have put that part into the ends. Because when Lori reads part of the book and finds out she's a sister, she has this complete meltdown. And that was very, very smart of Rob Zombie to put in this film, because in the original sequence, in part 2, Loomis and the nurse are talking about it, but Lori doesn't know. But then in H2O, she randomly fucking knows. So you never got that payoff. In this one, you get the payoff. You get to see how awesome it is to see how she would really react in that situation when she finds out, oh, that's my brother. Another out for me in this movie is casting. Now, besides Michael and Lori, well, I'm mixed on Lori, like I said, and I hated Dr. Loomis, but I like the portrayal with Brad Dourif and Danielle Harris when we get more time with them. The rest of this movie that's fleshed out character-wise, they're all a bunch of nothings. Nothings. They have no quality to them in the movie. They bring nothing to the movie. Some of them are just there to die, which I always say in all these movies, that's great when you have characters there to die. But if you're going to be the supporting cast, at least let what your acting does fucking support the movie. It just feels like it's a very, very lame duck effort, which is sad because Rob Zombie usually always brings in a lot of really famous classic horror actors, and they always do a great job. And he does have some in here, but some of the main, like, second cast people, just, they're not very good. And that casting also includes his wife, who died in the last movie. But for some reason, he puts her in this movie in what would be regarded as, to me, the dumbest metaphor, just to have a metaphor, just so he can have her in this movie. The white horse stuff. I don't know what to call it. There's a white horse. She's there in a white dress as a ghost. Hell, there's even a little Michael Myers there. They keep popping up in this movie over and over and over and over again. And for the most part, all of those scenes suck. And they make it out like that's the reason why Michael's going on this killing spree, because she told him to turn around and go to Haddonfield instead of living in the woods. That's the reason. I know when I first saw this movie back, I think it's 2009, when I watched it back then, that was the number one reason why I hated this movie. Was that stupid white horse shit. Now I'm older, I'm able to look past it, and I can see some of the good to go with the bad. But that was bad. Overall thoughts on this movie? This movie is fun. Like all Rob Zombie movies, there's always a bit of fun to them. He doesn't overkill it with his dialogue of, shit fucking and chicken sex and everything else that he does in all of his other movies. He has it right in the beginning. He shoots his load on about 50 fucks and then he calls it a day. And he has a regular old movie. The kills are awesome. Michael Myers is awesome. The plot of the movie, it's okay. It's like a mixed element. It's not terrible, but it's not great. My rating on this movie, I'm going to give this one a 3.25. I actually like this one a little bit better than the remake. I think Laurie's better in this. The kills are better in this. Michael's more brutal in this. And had he just not done the White Horse, I honestly, this movie would probably be like a 4.25 for me. I'm going to kick it down an entire point for that stupid ass shit. If I can have you give me a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment down below on how you feel about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Maybe you love it. Maybe you hate it. Until the next one, we're going to be doing Halloween 2018. Rest in peace.